continued on TV through season 8 and after the fall, would you have done them the exact same way as in the comics?
There's no way you could have done on TV, certainly for the money that we were being given to make the show, what we did. And also, you couldn't have had an entire episode of them having sex. Well, maybe. That could never happen except in season 6. But the point of season 8 for me was, hey, it's a comic and we can do these things that we could not have done on television. And I think that ultimately became sort of a little bit of an albatross for us. And the kind you've already killed, not the cute kind that's like River. And because people were more interested in her life than they were in the fact that we could draw bigger things. So, that's why I'm excited about season 9 again, because having discovered that I can do it differently than the television show, I've discovered that I don't really want to.
Mr. Whedon, I love you so much and everything you do. I wanted to ask you, Astonishing X-Men was what originally got me into comics. It was amazing. And I was wondering if you are ever planning on doing that again or any other big name comic title.
I don't think any of my work upcoming has anything to do with big comic titles. I'm thinking, I have actually no plans at this time to wrestle with a big title. I would like to, but I have a feeling after making this movie, maybe not so much, just from sheer exhaustion. The X-Men, of all the titles, of all the books I could have written for, was really the grail. There are definitely things that I would love to do, and Brian Hitch and I always go, we should do some Spider-Man. And I'm like, that's great. What can we do that hasn't been done? Let's not do Spider-Man. Although I am going to do a Spider-Man reboot movie in a year. It's going to be Justin Bieber and Elle Fanning. I think it's going to be really, really bad.
Hi, Joss. I'm a big fan of that beautiful brain. And
they're beautiful and very visible brain.
I was wondering whether you wrote Buffy with like a big end in mind, sort of the end of her life, or you just worked on a season-to-season basis as you told the story of her life.
Well, every season was designed for us to be canceled. Oddly enough, something I didn't prepare for was Firefly. Weird. But, it is an uncertain life, and so every season we wanted to go out with just enough so that we could say, if we never come back, we have a sense of closure. That's why we never did cliffhangers, because we were never sure. In fact, the first time I did a cliffhanger was season 4 of Angel, and I was like, oh, no, I'm sorry, it was season 3 was the first time, and then I came back and was like, oh, the first episode is so much easier to write now. Because our first episodes were almost always our weakest, because we sort of closed everything out. So it didn't have to be big, like the last episode of season 4, The Dream was really just a coda and not a giant climax, but it always had to be enough.
What did you see in Lila and Wes that made you realize how amazing and perfect they were for each other? And do you ever intend for them to fall in love, or do you think it just kind of happened?
I heard everything in that question except the people's names.
Lila and Wes.
Oh, Lila and Wes. Well, let's see. They hate each other. They agree on nothing. They're diametrically opposed, and they're both super sexy. I don't know what made me think we should get them together. They had quite the chemistry. You know, when you get people who can't stand each other in bed together, fun ensues. That's all I'm saying.
Now that you own the rights for the Angel now, with the Angel and Faith comics, will we see characters like Illyria or Connor show up?
Yes. All of the Buffy and Angelverse characters are under one roof now. And that's really you know, and I do want to thank the guys at IDW for shepherding Angel for so long and doing a wonderful job with it. But at the end of the day, it makes life easier and better to have them all in each other's worlds. And the best part will be taking people from Angel's world and putting them in Buffy's in a way that we never have before, and vice versa. The books will start out separately. They do all sort of, the go is the end of season 8. Of Buffy, but we're going to keep them in their own worlds a little bit, just so the books can establish their own identities, and it doesn't just become this giant, you have to buy everything crossover fest, which I feel is unfair. But then, very soon after that, we're going to get really silly. And you know, if I had the time, there would be about 5 other people who'd have their own standalone books. But as it is, we're going to be trying to work out some mini-series and one-shots and making sure that everybody gets in everybody else's soup, because there's so many great dynamics there. And I just need more Illyria.
Hi, Joss. I really enjoyed Frey popping up in season 8. Was it difficult to bring the two worlds together?
That was actually some of the easiest and most fun stuff that I got to do. Those two worlds, being so separate but so connected, made writing that just pretty much pure joy. And having Carl back to do it, because it was Frey, was really lovely. It was, you know, obviously there's some reconciling issues. Basically all of the Buffy comic has been, you know, affected by Frey, which I wrote thinking, there's no way this will ever affect Buffy, because it's 200 years in the future, so I'm totally safe. But now that I've resolved the fact that, yes, they are connected universes, bringing them together was, you know, just a delight. Mostly because I got to have Frey say, "Summer, you drive like a spaz." Sorry?
Hi. In the Buffy and Angel universe.
Did you say Buffalo? You said Buffalo, didn't you?
I was wondering if there were any characters who you either regret killing off or introducing.
Yes, I regret introducing Tara. No. You know, I don't have a lot of regret. The fact of the matter is, we all know that sometimes I have killed beloved characters, because I believe that is something that people in those kinds of stories need to go through. And we all know that there are some characters that I introduced that did not stick to the wall quite as successfully as others. But I don't live with a lot of regret. Every character that we had, we got to milk for some really interesting stories. And if people didn't like them, we either found a way to make them like them or played that up as part of their persona. We got to ride the surf of people's, the fans' involvement. And I'm not big with regret. It's not on my schedule.
Hi, I was just wondering if we're going to see a more consistent, scenes of Spike in season 9, and if we find out where he got his bug ship.
Yes, eventually we will discover where he got his insect dirigible. And he's going to be, a real factor in Buffy's life. You got to put those two in a room. It's just too much fun. I can't say which room, but
Joss, big fan. I really love the Firefly verse, and I was wondering if we saw the Shepherd's Tale and Float Out, are we going to have any more backgrounds from any other characters like Mal or Laura?
You know, I want to. I don't have anything on the drawing board right now because of busyness and craziness and laziness and dizziness. But yeah, we'd like to do some more backstory stuff, and I think at this point, you know, we have license at some point as well to move forward with these characters too. I think it's safe to say. It would be interesting to know what happens next.
Bring back Wash!
The Wash Clone Wars. My most popular works.
I know you're a big X-Men fan, and that Kitty Pryde was kind of an inspiration. Yeah, Emma Frost.
Yes, I was going to say, are you about to slam her? Because
no, and that Kitty Pryde was an inspiration for Buffy, and I wanted to know if you consciously drew from Rogue when you built Echo Dollhouse.
You know, they're connected. There was not... Echo was an attempt at something very different. Somebody with, you know, no support system or identity of any kind. And that really didn't come from the same place as Kitty and Buffy, except in the sense that I always write about helplessness and the gaining of strength and the building of identity. Echo was a more pure version of that. Buffy reflected Kitty in the way that they were both young and suddenly burdened with responsibility, but they both had the context of their lives. The whole point about Echo is that she had had that taken away from her. I don't actually know a lot of people like that. It was more of a stretch. It was almost kind of my robot fiction. I like your outfit, too.
So throughout Angel, there's references to the powers that be, and it doesn't happen in Buffy. And I was wondering if that was an idea that you didn't have when you were first writing Buffy? Or,
You know, everybody had some kind of, you know, controlling force out there that was supposed to be benign but didn't quite seem to get it done. On Angel, we defined them differently. But, you know, Buffy, there was always not just a Watcher's Council, but the first, you know, people who had made the first Slayers, and sort of, there was always some new weird council of old men or women or beings or clouds or something that was out there that you would basically need as something to invoke or something to move the story along or something to rail against for not making things better. Something that would seem to be in opposition to the very dark forces that were, you know, obviously personified in Wolfram and Hart, but at the end of the day, really proved more than the evil ever did that everything is just shades of gray, and that no matter who's out there, we do have to do this ourselves.